Or you could do another close on the deal. You could say, Bill, awesome, you've seen the deal. How much money would you like to put into this investment? And you just shut up. Don't say anything else. Just shut up. Let them talk. Let them tell you. And maybe it's, I don't know. Maybe it's, hey, I'd like to do all of it. How to raise your first set of money and close your first investment with an investor. How can you get that number one? The biggest leap you can do is go from 0 to 1. So I have a process here to close your first investor deal. Step number 1 to closing your first investor deal is fill your pipeline. A pipeline is this idea of I have a lot of activity going on for this outcome that I want, right? If I were selling knives, right, like Cutco, door to door, if I didn't have anybody who wanted to buy any knives, then my pipeline would be dry. My pipeline would be empty. But if I had knocked on 1,000 doors, had spoken to 1,000 people, I would have those people in my pipeline to buy the knives that I was selling door to door. There are 2 kinds of pipelines that you have to fill. The first is a deal pipeline. If we want to raise money for a real estate deal, we have to have a deal. The second pipeline is a pipeline of investors, people who have money who can invest with you. The first key is to fill those pipelines, both the deals and the investors. So we could talk a lot, and I have other videos. I actually have a full training on finding off-market deals. I'll link it below here. But let's talk about how do you fill your pipeline with investors. The best way to fill your pipeline with investors is your power base. This is people you know who have money, who already know you and trust you. If somebody's going to invest with you, they have to trust you. And the best way to do that is to build a relationship with somebody. If you were to get married, you wouldn't just walk up to somebody who's qualified. I'm a guy, so let's say I walk up to a girl. If I saw a girl I liked, I wouldn't just walk up and say, hey, will you marry me? Right? That person doesn't know me, they don't trust me, they're not ready to marry me. Whenever you get in a partnership with somebody, whether they're an investor, it's like a marriage. You're doing something for an extended amount of time together. And so what do you have to do before you get married? You have to date each other, you have to know each other, you have to like each other. Most importantly, you have to trust each other. And so you have to go through the process of finding investors and building a relationship and building trust with those people. So where do you go? First off, you can go to people you know, your power base. This is your uncles, this is your friends, this is your family, this is your coworkers, people you already know, like, and trust, and do the same to you, okay? That's the first place you can go. Second place you can go, really the best place to go, is real estate investing conferences or meetups. You'd be just outstanded by the amount of people who go to real estate investor conferences and meetups with no intention of doing deals of their own. They're just there to find people like me, to find people like you, because they have money and they want to invest money in other people's deals. They don't actually want to do deals themselves. They want to meet other people who are doing deals where they can place money. And there's a ton of them out there, right? There's local ones in your town probably every single week or every single month. There's virtual meetups. I do self-storage, so they have multiple self-storage. I think they have 2 conferences a year in Las Vegas, a monthly one here just in Atlanta. But I could go to any of those and meet people who want to invest. Same for you, right? It doesn't have to be self-storage. It could be just real estate in general. Any of those conferences, you can go and you can meet people who have money who want to invest. If people don't know what you do, well, people don't know that you raise money for real estate deals, that you're a real estate investor, that you're doing deals, guess what? They're not going to invest with you because they simply don't know that you do that. So fill in your pipeline through those different activities with qualified people who know that you do that. That's step number 1. Step number 2 is making sure your goals are aligned. If your goal is to do deals like, hey, I'm trying to buy a house, flip a house within 90 days. Hey, I am trying to buy this property. I'm trying to buy this apartment complex, and I never want to sell it. You'll get your money back in 10 years. Those are 2 totally different investors. And so you need to qualify the investors that you're talking to, because you don't want to spend all this time thinking that I'm going to go and I'm going to do these deals, and I've got this investor who said, yeah, they're interested in investing. I present it to them. It's a long-term cash flow hold, and they come and they say, oh, well, Hayden, I thought that, that we were going to be flipping properties together, or I thought that, I could get my money back in a year or less. Like, those are just different investors. How do you qualify them? Whenever you are filling people in your pipeline, if they show an interest, just talk about getting coffee together. Talk about meeting up. Talking about getting together, having a conversation about their goals to make sure that their goals and your goals are aligned. And if they're not, just say, hey, I really appreciate your time here. If you know anybody else who's looking to invest in deals like this, I'd love to get connected to them, and I'll let you know how things go, because maybe one day your mind will change. The third step in this process is to know your deal numbers. What do I mean by that? If you're going to go out and you've got a deal and you want to present it to an investor, you need to know these numbers inside and out. This is like if you watch the show Shark Tank. It's my favorite show. Imagine a shark gets up there, right? And Mark Cuban says, what were your sales over the last 12 months? And you see those people who just peg their numbers, right? Our sales over the last 12 months for $577,000 on 45% gross margin and blah, 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 blah. And those people are the people who get deals. The people who don't get deals are the people who go, oh, our sales were, something, maybe like. The people who don't know their numbers are not the people who get deals, because investors especially don't want to put their money with somebody who is not just super on top of their numbers, who's not going to be paying very close attention to the dollars and the cents. What's its income? How many units does it have? How much is it worth? What kind of return am I going to earn? When are we going to refinance out? What are the assumptions in the pro forma? Like, knowing the numbers inside and out, and something like My Property Stats can help you do that, can help you know your numbers inside and out, and it can give you a really clean, just one central link that you can share with an investor to show them all of your numbers. That's a really powerful tool. Knowing your numbers is a really powerful tool. You have to know your numbers, because you don't want to be the person. Like, I'll give you an example. I was at dinner last month with one of my friends who's an investor. He just got his first commercial deal under contract, and I was asking about it. I was like, oh, that's awesome. How many square feet is it? Well, I think it's like 60,000 square feet. I'm not sure. Or it does have 2 levels, so maybe it could be 90,000 square feet. Okay, well, how much are you buying it for? Okay, well, I know how much I'm buying it for, 1.5 million. Okay, great. Well, what are the market rates? What are your expense ratios? Just all these different questions. I don't know. I'll have to get back with you. I don't know. I'll have to get back with you. I don't know. I'll have to get back with you, which is fine. He wasn't coming to me to raise money. But if you're sitting down with an investor, if you don't know something, first of all, if you should say, I don't know, let me get back with you. But your goal should be being so prepared going into that meeting that not one time do you have to say, I don't know. You need to know your numbers inside and out, and that's just the bottom line. Step number 4, give a generous split. I'll put this video in the top right of the screen right now, but I talked about the different ways you can raise investor capital, whether that's through debt, whether that's through equity with a pref or equity without a pref, and I talk about what splits are inside of there. On your first deal, you need to give a very generous split. You might even want to consider working for free on your first deal just to entice your investors to come and invest with you. You can watch that video to understand what I mean by give a generous split, but it's super important in your first deal you give a generous split. As you build a track record, you can start giving less generous but still fair splits to your investors. Step number 5, put in what you can. What does that mean? If you have $5,000 to your name and you're trying to raise $100,000, you should put in as much as you can, because investors, especially on your first deal, want to see that you have skin in the game. That means they want to see that you care, that you're invested, not just from a time perspective, but from a financial perspective. They want to make sure that you're going to be paying as much attention to the money, because your money's involved. It's not just their money. And then really, this is kind of like a test. Do I really like the deal? Do I like the deal enough, not only to get an investor to invest in it, but do I like the deal enough for me to go put $10,000 on a credit card to invest in this deal, to go sell my car, to work overtime, to save up some cash, to put money into this deal? Putting money in the deal, putting skin in the game is a huge step for most investors to invest with you. They want to make sure that you're financially invested in the deal, as well as emotionally, time, all the good things. Step number 6, whenever you want to get an investor, you have to make a direct call to action. So let's say you've qualified an investor, you guys are on the same track, you've got a deal under contract, you want to present it to them, you need to put together a little presentation. You can go to like canva.com and they have like a bunch of presentations. You could like look up real estate presentation, and you could make just a brief overview of like the deal numbers itself, pictures of the deal, get the meeting, show them the presentation. At the end, you need to make a direct call to action. If I'm presenting to a guy named Bill, we've talked all about the deal. Do you have any more questions? No more questions? Awesome. Bill, I'm asking you to invest $50,000 into this business for this split. That's a call to action. You have to make a call to action. It's going to be scary your first time you do it. That's how you sell, that's how you close deals, just directly by asking. Or you could do another close on the deal. You could say, Bill, awesome, you've seen the deal. How much money would you like to put into this investment? And you just shut up. Don't say anything else. Just shut up. Let them talk. Let them tell you. And maybe it's, I don't know. Maybe it's, hey, I'd like to do all of it. Hey, I'm in for $25,000 if you can raise the other $25,000. Like, there's a lot of different ways it could go, but a direct is, Bill, how much would you like to put in this? Or, Bill, I'm asking you to put in $50,000 into this deal. So make the ask, direct call to action. That's how you get investment. The last step after you get the investment, step number 7 is to crush it for them, right? You do everything you possibly can to pay attention to that deal, to make that deal profitable, to make that deal cash flow, to make sure that the investor gets every single thing they need, and you make them a raving fan of you and your business. How do you do that? You crush it for them, and you make sure that they're so happy with everything they've gotten out of you and their interactions together, with all the money they've made from you, is that they're telling their friends. Bill tells Dave, hey, you got to get on this deal. Dave tells his coworkers. Like, that's how you grow your investor pool, is by crushing it for one investor at a time. Because once you've crushed it for one person with money, people with money know other people with money. And if they're happy, they'll tell their friends. That's how you close your first real estate investment deal. If you have any questions, feel free to drop them below. If you need any clarifications, I will make follow-up videos for you. Drop your questions below, and I'll see you guys soon.